Welcome to Raiders on the Record, the podcast featuring Hastings High School athletics. I'm Athletic Director Trent Hansen. My colleague Tim Hanneberg and I work together to bring you the stories of Raider sports. We are thrilled to share conversations with the athletes, coaches, and alumni that represent Raider Nation. Check back weekly and be sure to share this podcast with your friends in the Raiders Network.
Jackie Kranz is a 1976 Raider graduate. During her time at Hastings High School, Jackie was part of the first female volleyball team in school history and was all-conference her senior year. She was a part of the student council and was the vice president as a class officer. Jackie started working in the district in 1995 and in 1997 started as the athletic administrative assistant, which is her current position as well. Over the last 20 years, Jackie has worked with 3 athletic directors, thousands of coaches, and tens of thousands of athletes, where she helps prepare them for their sports season and assist them throughout the year. Working in the athletic department, Jackie has had a unique role working with coaches and athletes, while also being a parent and grandparent of athletes as well. All right, here we are with Jackie Kranz. Jackie, just to get a little background information on you, we like to ask something we call 5 good questions. So first thing here is, can you give us your hometown and then what high school you graduated from?
I was born in Pittsburgh, lived there till I was 5. Then we moved out to California and I attended elementary school there through 4th grade. And then we moved in 76.
Awesome. So we kind of focus around sports in this podcast. So what do you think your earliest or your best sports memory was growing up as a youngster?
Our neighborhood and our cousins always got together and we played kickball in the street and softball and baseball at the park. That was
Nice.
what we did in our spare time.
That's awesome. We've had a lot of people talk about their first jobs on here too, and many of them focused around farming. I don't know if that's going to be you, but what was your first job growing up, or maybe one of the first ones you could remember getting paid for?
I actually worked at the Hastings Inn right here in Hastings. So I cleaned rooms and I did the laundry there. And then also Haven Homes, which is now Augustana. So those are the jobs I had right away when I was 16.
Wonderful. Next one, you could pick 3 of these if you want and just name your favorite one. So pick 3 of these categories: your favorite food, your favorite movie, your favorite artist, your favorite author, or your favorite time of the year. So pick 3 of those and what will be your some of your favorite ones.
Okay, my favorite movie would be Sandlot. I love the unorganized sports. The kids just went to the park and played ball and I don't know, watched it with our kids all the time when they were growing up. So that's my favorite movie. My favorite time of year is definitely summer. I love gardening, sitting by the pool. I like the heat. And what were the other choices?
So your favorite food, author, or your favorite artist?
Favorite food would be chicken.
Okay, nice. I know you have a delicious smelling salad every day too. So I know you're into salads and chicken salads too. So last one here, getting background information on you, Jackie. What do you think 3 words, what are 3 words that you think would describe you?
Overly organized. That's what my family would say. Sensitive and caring. I like to have fun.
Nice. I think those are all true too. So we've been trying to get experts on this podcast, people that are experts in the field of sports, and you are definitely one of those people. So talk about your current role, your occupation, where do you work, who do you work with? Give us a little background information on what you do for a living.
Well, I work in the athletic office at the high school. I'm the athletic administrative assistant, and I work with Trent Hansen, who is the athletic director. I started in the district in 1995, and for 2 years I worked in the attendance office. And then in 97, I started as the athletic secretary.
Awesome. So give us a little, maybe a day-to-day, some of the things that you do as the athletic secretary. What's that job look like? Some of the roles that you handle, people that you work with, besides Trent too. So what's it look like maybe on a day-to-day level?
Every day is different. So I take care of all the schedules, all the busing. I work with the coaches. As a matter of fact, Trent and I figured out there's like 120 coaches, with the head coaches, assistant coaches, volunteer coaches. I pay officials, do purchase orders.
Probably many more things that you do too that you can't remember right now.
Registration. Yeah, it's like I said, every day, every season is different.
That's awesome. So what do you think one of the most rewarding things with this role is? I know you just said you work with many different coaches, many different head coaches, many different assistant coaches, athletes when they register, athletes throughout the season. So what do you think one of the most rewarding things is that is part of your role working in the athletic office?
Just watching the growth and the success of the athletes and the teams during the year, from start to finish. I work a lot of the events, so that I get to see many different sports throughout the year. And it's just fun to watch the athletes and teams grow.
Mm-hmm. Can you think back maybe, since you've been working here since the mid-90s, then any kind of cool stories about seeing maybe kids grow from when you first had them in the mid-90s till now, or maybe even you're probably getting some kids of former athletes as well coming through the program. So do you think any cool stories like that you can remember, just maybe off the top of your head, that maybe the next generation coming in, or any cool growth that you've seen take place?
Oh, you mean like from some specific athlete themselves?
Well, maybe a specific athlete that you first started working with in the mid-90s, and you see them now in the community, or maybe you're kind of working with their kids now. I know even your grandkids are in the program too at the high school, so that could be something that's been pretty cool. But anything else that you could maybe think about a cool story? I know I put you on the spot here. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think about this one. I remember when it was in Becky's class, actually, our daughter Becky's class, and there was a friend of hers that she was very tall, and I just remember her as a ninth grader going out for the volleyball team, and she barely made the team. She was on the 9B team, and then very next year, the one thing about cutting is you never know a potential of an athlete. I mean, they grow at different ages and mature at different times. And by 10th grade, she was like a varsity starter and was just like an awesome volleyball player for the next 3 years. I mean, so it was just really fun to see, her not give up, but to keep going out. And I'd rather not mention names, but
That's okay. Yeah, no, that's a really cool story. What do you think some of the most or more challenging parts are of your position at the high school?
Well, the hardest part is the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Never day to day. Spring is really a tough time of year because we can have snow till May. So I really think that's the most challenging. And other than this year, the pandemic was lots of different challenges that don't ever want to do that again. But definitely the weather is the biggest challenge for us, for me. Everything else, I've been doing it so long that it's not really that much of a challenge anymore. It's fun, but it's not. I've got everything pretty much down to a science now.
For sure. I know you talked about registration. That's a big part of your job too, and that's happens 3 times a year and a big thing. And you also talked about getting to go to the events, so you get to see a lot of the different sports and a lot of the different live events. But what's something that maybe a particular event that you always look forward to every single year, something associated with the high school sports?
You mean like a sporting event?
Yeah, it could be a specific sporting event, or it could be maybe just something in general, working at the high school, that's something you always look forward to seeing every single year.
I would say the wrestling state tournament is my most favorite event of the year.
Okay. Nice. What maybe some specifics about that too? Like, what do you like about it? Maybe just, I know I've been there a couple different times now, but I know the XL Center is just a really cool venue to have it at. But what are some of the things that kind of associated with the Minnesota, with a state wrestling tournament, that you really like?
Well, it's just that I've been so involved in it on a personal level. And when I first started going to the event, it was, I didn't even have King. It was just my husband. We would stay at a hotel with all the parents and families, and even we'd bring our young kids to it. And it'd become like 3 days of just a lot of fun watching wrestling and being in downtown St. Paul. And then when our son started wrestling, and then he was part of the state tournament, and it's just something that I've continued to go to every year. And it's like a tradition for me and my friends who have had kids go through the wrestling program.
Wonderful. I know we're not kicking out of the high school yet, but I know retirement is kind of right around the corner for you. So looking forward, after you're done working at the high school, what's some things you want to do, maybe dreams you have, different roles that you want to take in life? What do you think life looks like for you after retirement?
Traveling.
Yeah.
I want to travel. I think Pete and I will do a lot of traveling. Probably not like most retired people, because I really don't want to miss anything that our grandkids are doing. So until they're graduated, I don't think we would leave in the wintertime, because I could not miss watching them wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it seems odd, but I would travel like fall before the wrestling season started, and then again in the spring for maybe a month. And so that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, just being there for a family. And I just love being outside. So
For sure. Are you talking about getting an RV with Pete and you guys are just driving cross country, or are we going to find a tropical locations? What do you think?
no, no, I'm not doing an RV. That would not be my idea. No, I just find different places to head to. I go down to Florida a lot. My sister lives down there, and her family, and it'd be fun just to rent someplace down there close to them. And Pete has a brother out in Arizona, so to rent a place out there for a month to spend time with them would be something that we would do. So I really don't have anything like set in mind, and I don't want to go to the same spot. It's just fun to go different places, and it not really definitely like leaving the country or anything, but just seeing different parts of the United States.
Wonderful. So out of the high school, you already talked about gardening, sitting by the pool. What's some other hobbies, interests, other activities that you like doing outside of work?
I do a lot of excuse me. I do a lot of crafts. I read, attend a lot of the grandkids events, and do a lot of traveling to see family. I don't have any family that live here in Hastings.
So looking back at your high school career, did you play any sports or do any activities when you were in high school? I know maybe back then there wasn't a huge amount of opportunities like there are now, but what are some of the things that you did when you were back in high school?
Actually, there was not many opportunities at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the very first volleyball team of Hastings. Actually, volleyball started in 73 when I was a sophomore, and it was called like an extramural team. That year we played like a total of 4 games, and in my 74, in my junior year, in a club called DECA, which is like a business thing. I was student council. I was a class officer and vice president my junior year. And then that year, our volleyball team went undefeated. And then the fall of my senior year, our volleyball team was the first in the conference, first in sub-regions, and fourth in regions. And I was all conference that year.
Nice.
So, but even back then, it really wasn't supported by a lot of people. I mean, even after graduating from high school, and I've stayed friends with some people that I've graduated with, and then when we talk, people didn't even know that I played sports.
Mhm.
I mean, it just wasn't something. I mean, there was not a lot of female sports at that time.
Mhm. What do you think one of the most rewarding things, and this could be the sports you did or the activities you did as well. So one of the most rewarding things, the experience with your being a high school athlete, or just in general of being at Hastings High School?
I believe sports help develop life skills. It was hard work and respect for others. There's a dedication and commitment to oneself and the team and the community. I just, knowing that I was part of the first volleyball team in Hastings, I feel is very rewarding.
Mhm. That's wonderful. So also, I mean, you probably had a coach back then who was probably a teacher here in the high school as well. So and then it could be your coach, it could be any teacher you had. So looking back, who do you feel like a teacher you admired was? You looked up to this person, maybe taught you a specific set of skills or characteristics that they embodied that you kind of took to heart and maybe tried to employ in your own life. So who do you think that teacher would be that you had growing up?
It would be definitely Vicki Davis. She was a teacher. She was a volleyball coach. She is the coach that started the women's sports in Hastings. And even when she first started, I know she didn't even get paid to do it. It was just her passion and to help girls' sports get going. And then first she was a teacher, coach, and then we were co-workers. She was the assistant principal here at the high school.
Mhm.
And then now we're friends. So we still see each other in town, and definitely someone that I've looked up to.
Yeah, I know listening to her episode was kind of really neat to hear about the way that they had to have practices. They're kind of, I don't want to say second fiddle, but they had to work around the boys' practices and just be so creative with the way that they structured things, practicing in the hallway, working on their dribbling for basketball outside, and just so many different things. Do you remember anything like that she kind of employed that you had to be creative with, or anything that maybe was a little out of the ordinary that she kind of did right away with you girls?
Honestly, I don't really remember all the
Yeah,
details.
that's okay.
I mean, I really don't at all. I mean, I remember the players. I remember having fun,
Mhm.
totally enjoying what we were doing.
Oh yeah, it was pretty cool to really interesting to hear her episode too, and her growing up and some of the things that she went through with sports and too, and when she came to Hastings. So it was really neat to hear that. So
Well, and even, I just remember, the games. I don't even think it was so new that no one attended. I
Mhm.
mean, like we went to a lot of the, boys games. I mean, we went to football games, hockey games, but we really didn't have a lot of people in attendance watching us. And even like our families. I mean, it's like, this didn't even seem important to a lot of people. Nothing against them or anything, but it was just not like, it's just not like it is now.
Mhm. What about a teammate, someone that you might have played volleyball with, or maybe just a classmate too, someone that you really looked up to, maybe someone that you really worked well with, someone that had a really big positive influence on your life? Who do you think that would have been growing up, and why? And it could be also be if you want to look back at high school, that's okay. If you want to think about now as a colleague too. So you talked about Vicky, working with her. You could also pick someone that you've worked with for the last, 25, 30 years here at the Hastings High School. So someone that you really, like I said, looked up to or worked well with, someone that really embodies some great characteristics that you try to employ in your own life.
I'll tell you, I've worked with some great people, and all of them had some type of influence. I don't know that there's just one. I've been very fortunate. I just think even the three ADs that I've worked for, the two principals, all the assistant principals. I worked with Don Miller first, and we just clicked. I only worked with him for a few years, but it seemed like whatever I was thinking that needed to be done. I mean, everything was done by paper back then. We did not have computers. We didn't have emails. We only had telephones, and and then we weren't even in the same office. So we just kind of clicked. It's like he would come out and need something, and we just always thought the same way. He was just a great person to work for. And then there was Tom, and now Trent. Trent is just an awesome leader. Totally respect everything that he has done for Hastings.
For sure. I definitely agree. Couple more questions then for you, Jackie. So you had, like I said, about 25 to 30 years experience in the athletic office. You just talked about the amount of coaches we have right now at the high school. But you've worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of coaches throughout your career. So looking back, or from your experiences, your perspective, what do you think would be a piece of advice for coaches from your experience?
For them to realize that what they do every day makes a difference in the athletes' lives, and to encourage them to try not to do it all alone and delegate some of their work. They don't have to take it all on themselves, that they've got a coaching staff and the parent support, and to try not to make themselves try to delegate, to not try to do everything by themselves, I guess is the biggest thing.
I like that. Now you yourself, you were a parent of a high school athlete, a couple different high school athletes. So thinking about your perspective, and you could either do as a parent or working in the athletic office for over 30 years, close to 30 years. What do you think would be a piece of advice, and why, for parents?
For parents? Just be supportive. Encourage the kids to be the best person they can be. Teach them to win with dignity and lose with dignity, and be an example for them. Parents, be there for them.
Awesome. Last one then, student athletes. Once again, we talked about how many coaches you see, but you probably see over maybe even 1,000 athletes per year, almost, times 25 to 30 years. So many athletes have come in through the athletic office. What do you think a piece of advice for athletes would be from your experience, and why?
Well, I think they need to have fun first. Be positive, work hard, be part of a team. I've always believed that there's no I in team, that if you work together, and for them to remember they are part of something that they will remember forever. It's a huge part of their lives.
Awesome. Jackie, that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you doing this. We talked about earlier, this is kind of out of your comfort zone, so I really appreciate you coming on here. The last thing I got is the mic is yours. You could talk about anything you want, anything I didn't ask you, anything you want to talk about. So the mic is yours and you can go for it.
Like you said, this is not my comfort zone, so I really don't know what else I really need to say. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it.
Okay.